Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for watching this video. In this video, we're going to continue on this unfolding of soul origins and the 7 rays of light, and continue diving into our own individual universal energy cycles that we hold within our own experiences. Like I said in my last video, I'm holding off on the information for the series that I was doing right before called The 4 Realms of Gaia and Opening to Magic, because I think Abe wants to open up this information first for us to understand our own inner universal energy cycle first before we open up into essentially Gaia's energy cycle, Gaia's energy fields, and her own creation. So everything's tying in together, but I think they want us to understand more the micro, macro scale of everything and how we're creating our own universe and how exactly we are connected to every single element in the universe through our own universal energy cycle. If you have not yet watched the last video, part 4 of Soul Origins and the 7 Rays of Light, as well as part 1, part 2, and part 3 that I did a few months ago, go ahead and watch those videos first in order to understand this video a little bit more. This video, we're going to break down even further what I went over in last video. Last video, I have a bunch of graphics to better visualize the cycle, this universal energy cycle of the physical incarnation, how every bit of information or knowledge or energy stems from source into its smaller and smaller aspects as you continue to break source down so that source can know itself essentially through all of these the breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. So for example, we went over how source split into the divine masculine, divine feminine to come together and create the 3rd ray of light, otherwise known in our universe as the Great Central Sun. And through the Great Central Sun, souls are born, and it's broken down further into the galactic sun, which is broken down further into the solar sun. That's broken down into the elements of the dimensions, such as Gaia, and the planets of the dimensions. And then that's broken down into the manifestations of the elements, which is the humans and animals and life on these elements, life on the planets. That further breaks down into the manifestations of humans, our own energetic field, and then that breaks down further into our physical reality, the things that we're perceiving, our health, everything like that. And everything that's manifested or created or broken down into smaller aspects creates, while at the same time feeds its energy back to source to begin the process, cycling that same energy over and over and over again. In our own individual experiences, we are creating our own energy fields, our own connection back to source, and receiving the energy that we're feeding back to source. Essentially, that energy continues to loop in this grand toroidal field of our own individual bodies. Our energy feeds back to Gaia, it feeds back to the sun, it feeds back to the galactic sun, and so on and so forth. And so basically, in our physical experiences and incarnations, we're each experiencing different universes because we're creating our own universes of energy cycling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So in this video, we're going to talk more. I just have a ton of questions that I wanted to ask Abe to clarify things a little bit better. Before I begin, I have everything written down. I put it on my blog, so if you want to go ahead and read the transcript along with this video, I'm going to put the link to the transcript on my blog below. Okay, so the first thing that came through is that each of you open up into your own source in your own incarnated reality, depending on the vibrational frequency of your manifestations that stem out from you. You create the energy that feeds back into source. So your source can be either lower vibrational or higher vibrational. I asked, why do we all exist in the same place though? So in this reality, we all have different experiences, but we're all existing on the same plane, but yet we have different sources and different universes that we're working with. And what came through was because the ultimate goal of the highest source is to know itself. By having each manifestation know itself back into the source that they create, the highest source can know each of its fractals or split mirrors. They showed me a vision of a room with many different mirrors reflecting the same thing. Like there's the same person, but it's in, 1,000 different mirrors. And those mirrors are basically us as our physical incarnations. So again, by having each manifestation know itself back into the source that they create, the highest source can know each of its fractals or split mirrors. It can know each of us as aspects of it. They go on to say that you exist all in the same place because planets were created to hold many different vibrational frequencies within the same dimension, as well as many different vibrational frequencies within different dimensions. The Gaia that you exist upon has many different planes, and in your collective's plane of existence is the third dimensional plane of existence. And the reality of your collective is the great shift of Gaia from the third into the fifth dimension. So they're basically saying that as a planet, as Gaia, what we went over in the last video is that she is a manifestation that created the further manifestation, which is us humans and life on her, life on the planet. So as Gaia, the greater micro of us, she can hold many different vibrations and frequencies as well as dimensions. There are many different planes existing on Gaia. And right now, where we are, at least where I am in my transmission to you, we are in the third dimensional plane of existence. The reality that's playing out for us here is this third dimensional plane of existence moving into the fifth dimensional plane of existence. I asked, does this mean that all the different dimensions that exist within Gaia, her many different planes of existence, frequencies, dimensions, etc., are they also shifting? And what came through was yes, but it all depends upon the lowest vibrational plane. The quote, "You're only as strong as your weakest link," came through. And so they were basically saying that we, in this third dimension on Gaia, I guess we are the weakest link. We are the lowest dimension. And they said that they're all waiting for you. So all the other dimensions and frequencies existing on Gaia, on her different planes of existence, are waiting for us to raise our vibration and move into the higher vibrational plane, the fifth dimension. What came through is that you open the universal energy cycle within your individual incarnated experience, as well as within the greater collective incarnated experience. I asked, so within my individual universal energy cycle, that cycle that we went through in the last video, the whole graphic that I went through, I asked, is the galactic sun and the solar sun and planets the same as what other people experience? So I'm basically asking, is my perception of, the galactic sun, the solar sun, the planets, is it the same as what other people are experiencing and perceiving? And what came through was that it will be the same as others who hold the same vibration. I asked, so for those who hold the same vibration, are we all working within the same universal energy cycle? And what came through was yes, as this greater collective of beings, it will be interpreted and perceived differently from each of your own unique viewpoints and individual experiences, but it is the same vibrational energy that you open up as the greater collective of beings vibrating at the same vibration or frequency. What came through is that they said, let's take Abe for example. Abe opens up for Jessica based upon her vibrational frequency and her interpretation of this vibrational frequency. This same Abe energy may open up for someone else who exists on the same vibrational frequency as Jessica, but that person's interpretation of this Abe energy may be different based upon their own unique perception and experience. Abe energy may open up with a different feeling energy, even a different name for other people, depending on the person's ability to interpret and perceive the energy coming through. And it's always based upon that person's vibration and reality that they hold. And everyone's going to be so unique and so different. They said ultimately it is all oneness energy at this level, but your unique perception and ability to interpret through your physical incarnations allows you to discover the many different layers or different notes of oneness, which all add to the full song that is Source. I asked, is Abe a note of oneness? And what came through is that Abe is a song of a greater source, but Jessica interprets the song based upon her own perception. Everyone is going to interpret differently. Some will want to hear rock and roll, others want to hear classical music, others are going to hear 90s hip hop. Source is not just one song. Source is all songs, all genres, all notes, all keys, everything that you can ever think of and more. If you don't like music, that's great. Pick something else, and Source will be that too. Now, can you see how you each have different perceptions in your interpretations of this greater energy based upon where you are vibrationally, based upon your own individual experiences from your past, present, and future? They even went on to say how the Abe energy that I perceive is different from the energy of Abraham Hicks, of what Esther perceives. It's completely different, but it's still tied together in a way because we're connected in a grander way, but it's still different. So we each have such different perceptions of what could be the same energy. We have different perceptions of our realities, and it really all is based and determined upon our vibrational frequency and our ability to perceive things. I asked, if we're each creating our own universes in our own physical incarnations, when we transition, do we all go into the same place in the non-physical? And what came through is that when you transition, you unite into the vibrational layer of the greater universe that your soul vibrationally aligns with. This exists outside of your physical incarnation's universal energy cycle or matrix. So basically this universal energy cycle, the graphic that I went over in the last video, this is purely an illusion, a matrix that we create for ourselves in our physical experience in this incarnation. We're creating each our own universes, but this is part of our physical incarnation, the creation of us creating manifestations and then cycling that energy back into a self-created source, essentially, that runs back to us, cycling over and over and over again. When we transition, we break out of that and are part of this greater cycle that is part of the greater universe outside of our physical illusions on a 3D planet. I asked, so are there many other universes, or are you referring to our creation of our universe as the many other universes. So I was told that because Source exists outside of the universe, Source can create many different universes. So I wasn't sure if maybe they were talking about the universes that we create here in a physical experience, how we're each creating different universes, if that ties into it at all. And what came through is that there are many different universes within your reality and many different universes outside of your reality. They said that you create the universe within your reality, but outside of your physical reality, you will open into the greater universe that is and always was and is ever expanding. There are, however, different vibrational frequencies to the greater universe that exists outside of your physical reality. The vibration that you are able to reach on a soul level will open you into the non-physical universe that matches the vibration of your soul. So there are lower vibrational layers of your greater universe and higher vibrational layers of your greater universe. Much like you can create different universes in your physical incarnation, you can choose to create a lower vibrational universe that you cycle with your own individual energy, or you can choose to create a higher vibrational universe that you can cycle through your own vibration and reality or your own energy. And this goes the same for the universe that exists outside of this physical incarnation. There are many different layers based upon vibration, and you will align to this greater universe depending upon where your soul is vibrating at. They go on to say that keep in mind that you still create the universe within your physical experience. You are open to many illusions within your physical experience and the creation of the universe that you exist within in your physical experience. For example, if in your physical experience there is a manifestation of Jupiter blowing up, when you transition and open into the greater universe, whatever greater universe that matches your soul vibration, Jupiter may still be there because Jupiter exists outside of your physical reality. The universe that you create in your physical reality and experience is a universe within the greater universe that exists outside of your physical reality and experience. This is because if we go back to the graphic, the planets such as Gaia, even Jupiter, any other planet, are greater manifestations or greater macro of us as humans. We are the manifestations of those elements of the universe, the planets. So essentially, even if we were to manifest something happening with the planet in our own individual universe, it could be completely different when we step outside of our own individual universe and open up into the greater universe. That's a little mind bending. They gave me a vision of VR, virtual reality. And they said, yes, it's very much like a virtual reality game with your manifestations dictating the reality and universe that you open up for yourself. So in the last video, I spoke about how souls open up through the great central sun, and souls are opened up into different manifestations because in order for this cycle of energy to keep moving and flowing through the universe, souls have to be opened up into these incarnations, into these manifestations for the energy to continuously and continually flow. So I wanted to know if souls, for example, for us to get here manifested and incarnated as a human soul, do we have to filter through this entire cycle, or do we just kind of open up as a human incarnation, manifestation? And what came through is that I asked, do souls filter through the galactic sun, solar sun, etc., to open into a human incarnation? And what came through is no. but the energy essences of your souls filter through the whole universal energetic cycle. So think that toroidal field energy constantly moving that holds the essence of your energy and your soul. They said that souls are birthed in the great central sun and opened directly into where they need to go, usually as a manifestation of one of the elements of dimensions, meaning a human or life on a planet, so one of the manifestations of a planet, if you will. But they said that the energy of your soul, of your essence, continues in that cycle flow of your own universal energetic cycle as an individual. I mean, even as the greater aspect, because you're part of that greater universal energy cycle. If you think about it, you're also part of Gaia's energy cycle that continues flowing. It can go on and on. The next thing I asked was, what determines a soul born to a higher dimension versus a lower dimension? So, if you take Gaia, for example, what determines a soul from being birthed into the third dimension versus any higher dimensions that may exist at the same time here on Gaia? And what came through was not dimension, but vibrational frequency. New souls will go where they are needed. Souls who have had incarnations will go to a dimension that matches their vibration. I asked, so does that mean that everyone here in the third dimension Earth planet had lower vibrational souls? And what came through was, yes, for the most part, everyone that has incarnated on your third dimensional planet and whose souls originated from the great central sun has lower vibrational souls. However, there are souls that incarnated on your planet during this great shift of Gaia that come from higher vibrational frequencies in order to help in the shift. These include higher dimensional beings, higher frequency energies, and even souls that stem directly from Source. Earth, at this time of her great shift, provides the opportunity for lower vibrational souls to open into higher vibration through the realization of who they truly are. This is the physical incarnation knowing itself through the 7 rays of light, much like how Source desires to know itself and why Source broke itself down into its 7 expressions in order to break down further and further and further in order to know itself. When you come to know who you truly are, you open into the greater universe that exists outside of your physical incarnation. You break free from the recycled, illusional universe that exists in your 3D minds. You begin to understand that you exist in a greater universe that is constantly creating and expanding. And when you understand this, you become part of that creation process, rather than allowing your non-deliberate minds and reactions to create for you. You shift from passive to active in your creation process. I asked, how come you said that souls go straight to the galactic sun instead of back to the great central sun when they transition? So I think I brought this through in one of my first 3 7 Rays of Light videos, where they said that some of the lower vibrational souls go back to the galactic sun, even though they were born through the great central sun. And what came through again was that this is for the lower vibrational souls. Lower vibrational souls will transition to the galactic sun or open up into the galactic sun when they transition, because they cannot match the vibration of the great central sun after they transition. My next question had something to do with how, in my last video, I talked about how the great central sun opened up into 7 different rays. It sort of broke off into 7 different rays, and then from each ray, it broke down further and further and further into its own further manifestations of within each ray. I asked, I don't understand the 7 rays that stem out from the great central sun, and why incarnations fall under only one of these greater 7 rays. I understand that each incarnation holds all 7 rays, but why fall under only one of them, or incarnate under only one of them? Do we have incarnations under all 7 rays? And what came through was that the 7 rays that extend from the great central sun open into different realms of experiences. These are the 7 expressions of Source, and incarnating into one of the 7 expressions allows Source to dive deeper into that expression to fully know itself within that expression. A soul, when choosing to incarnate, chooses which ray or path it wants to experience for the most part. Which ray or path will the soul choose to further explore, expand in, and integrate in order to allow Source to fully know itself more? That is the path that the soul will choose based upon its desire. The 7 rays that stem from the great central sun open more opportunities for the soul to experience the different expressions of Source. So that makes sense how the 7 rays that extend from the great central sun allow these different paths for a soul to choose in its incarnation in order for it to know itself. It can explore the different expressions of Source in different micro ways and allow for different experiences. So you can incarnate as a human within the 4th ray, and that will be a completely different experience than you incarnating as a human in the 5th or 6th or 7th rays. They all offer different paths for that incarnation, for that soul to further explore and get to know itself and understand itself a little bit better. I asked, do each of the 7 rays that stem from the great central sun open into different universes? And what came through was no, they are open in your current earth reality and your direct universe. They are just different paths that a soul chooses to take and experience. A soul that has existed for millions of your earth years has probably walked more than one ray in its many, many, many incarnations. The ray in which the soul chooses to incarnate through often stems back to the soul's purpose in its greater incarnation's mission. I asked, then what about the Is, Ra, and El life mission paths? How does that tie into everything? And what came through was that the Is, Ra, and El mission paths open within each of the 7 rays and offer a more specific mission within the ray that the soul chooses to incarnate through. The ray that the soul incarnates through is the greater mission path, but the Is, Ra, and El energies offer more specific life mission paths within the greater mission of the ray that they were born through, or that they incarnated through. And I think I hit you guys with enough information for this video. I'm going to save the rest for the next video, possibly the next 2 videos, because there's still a lot more to go through. In the next video, we're going to talk about some interesting, it dives even further and gets even more interesting. So we're going to talk about how Source opens, basically how souls are able to make their way back to Source. We're going to talk about what came through as the 7 pools of Source consciousness. We talked about how Source split itself into 2 to come back together to create a reflection of itself, but we're going to talk about Source itself and how Source offers energy that stems directly from Source, and the journey of souls basically to reach back to that point, to merge back with Source. It's a very interesting conversation of how basically of soul origins and this whole cycle of souls incarnating, finding its way back to Source, opening up into a larger mission of Source, And then we're going to dive even further into the source souls that are coming online. So there's a lot more to talk about, a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to stop this video here and allow you to integrate and activate what you need to within you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, put them below. Over on Patreon, we're going to dive deeper. If you have any questions, any of my Patreon members, go over there, ask your questions, and we'll dive deeper into this information for us to open up even further our own inner lost knowledge. Thank you so much for watching this video. In oneness, we are Abe. Oneness and love be with you.